Does the world need the Korg Kronos 3? Well, in short, the answer of course is yes. But that would make a really short video, wouldn't it? And probably quite a boring video because you'd stop about now. Where in reality, I need to take some time, about 10 minutes of your time actually, to say why I think the world needs Korg Kronos 3. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. But first, before we get into why does the world need Korg Kronos 3, I'm just going to address a spamming issue, or a YouTube spamming issue. If you have commented on my channel in the past, you may think, why is this idiot sending me responses 2, 3, 4, 5 or more years after I posted a comment? Well, any person who has run a YouTube channel know that our friends at YouTube love to change things from time to time. And they've done it again with the creator interface. This is one of those occasions where what they've done is they've changed the interface so that it now shows replies I haven't replied to in the past, which it never normally did. And actually these comments were, I would say, kind of hidden to me unless I went and did a certain set of filtering, which I don't normally do. Anyway, in order to clear a lot of these past comments that are appearing, I've had to go through and answer a comment that may not think you need an answer for, which is why it appears I am spamming you. So I do apologise, I am not spamming you on purpose, I am just trying to get the interface so that I can see the latest comments on the relevant subjects so that I can respond to you. Otherwise you're getting hidden and then I'll get into a pickle and I don't want to be there. Well, let's start with the obvious elephant in the room. Nautilus did not cut it as the flagship synthesizer in the Korg range. Or flagship workstation, should I be more precise. I've said many times on the channel, the Korg Nautilus is actually a very, very capable workstation. And to be honest, at its current price in the UK of sub £2,000 for the Nautilus Grey AT, that's the 88 key RH3 version, you might also consider this an absolute bargain. In fact, I do think it's an absolute bargain. Yes, the Nautilus contains the same 9 engines that the Korg Kronos did before it was discontinued. And after a while, you could move patches from your Korg Kronos to your Korg Nautilus. And I think this was one of the biggest marketing faux pas that Korg made, not allowing you to do that from day one. But a feature that many players thought was essential was something like, I say something like, it was aftertouch. They removed it from the Nautilus and nobody really understands why they did that. It was obviously to save cost, but why did they do that? Many keyboard players use this feature. I use this feature. You probably use this feature. Most keyboards of a certain ilk, in fact actually even more, some of the budget keyboards have aftertouch. So why did you remove aftertouch from a flagship? Nobody really knows the answer and Korg have never told us. But many of the patches on your Korg Kronos, of course, have parameters for aftertouch which you couldn't use on Nautilus. The second issue was the slimmed down user interface. If you look at a Korg Kronos, and mine's behind me, behind my 2 mascots, the interface is quite messy, quite busy. is the way I describe it. It has lots of knobs and faders, and it has the ribbon controller, and it has the joystick. And you could program these to alter things while you were playing the instrument. You couldn't do that on the Korg Nautilus. And I think Korg really underestimated how much keyboardists that use the Korg Kronos actually use these features while they were playing, while they were mid-set. And finally, the reason why I didn't buy a Nautilus, taking aside the other two things I've said, it wasn't radical enough. There wasn't enough change in the Korg Nautilus that made me say I needed to move to that platform. The Kronos does everything I want it to do. The Nautilus was a Kronos minus bits. What is radical about that? It simply did not cut the mustard. This one was the straw that broke many camels' backs, which is an English saying, I don't know whether it translates around the world, but it means it was the deal breaker. Supportability. Many Korg Kronos users are were getting very jittery over the fact that they were finding it difficult to source spares for their Kronoses. Many were reporting on portals that the Kronos had gone into the repair shop and had been in the repair shop for months because the maintenance person could not find the spares. This was before Korg actually discontinued the Kronos. This was happening. Of course, with the new Kronos 3 being available on bang up to date hardware, bang up to date technology, not quite, but the hardware is bang up to date. It means that spare parts are available again for this new Korg Kronos 3 platform. And ultimately, that means you can repair it when it goes wrong. The Kronos 3 is same, but different. What do I mean by that? If you look at pictures that have been taken from NAMM and pictures that have been released by Korg prior to NAMM, post the announcement that Kronos 3 was coming, it looks like the Kronos 2. In fact, I actually made a quip on a previous video that I could take the panels off my Kronos 2, put the black panels from the Kronos 3 on there, and I've got a Kronos 3. This, of course, is not true. There are a number of subtle differences. Firstly, apparently, and I have nothing to confirm this, but somebody has stated that the 88 key version is actually 1.5 centimeters wider. When I say wider, what do I mean? That way. And the 71 and 61 key versions are 2.5 centimeters wider. This, of course, means that if you have a fully fitted travel case for your Korg Kronos, and I'm talking about Korg Kronos 2, of course, you can't get your Korg Kronos 3 in it because it would be too wide. The colour, it's black. It is, but it's more matte black rather than shiny black. So there is a subtle difference between the two colours of black. It's kind of got this matte feature, and this features in a couple of places, this more matte colour. But it is black still. The new screen is the same size, but again it is different. This screen has an anti-glare finish to it. I was going to say feature, it's finish, which apparently makes it easier to read in a number of different lighting conditions, which has been really aimed at, I suppose, the giggy musician who is going to be trying to read his screen on stage while all the lights and all the paraphernalia is going off around him. Now, Korg have made a big thing about this. The new Kronos 3 comes with a new motherboard and a faster CPU. Korg keep mentioning that there is no system fan in the Kronos. Now, the system fan in the Kronos 2 has never really bothered me, but for some, especially if it's used all the time and it's knocked around, the bearings start to go, the fan starts to sound noisy. There is no fan in the Korg Kronos 3. The CPU is air cooled. That also mentioned several times, that also means the horsepower of the Kronos 3 has increased, which means that the responsiveness of the touchscreen is almost that much more faster. This was commented on by several people at NAMM when they were touching around on the screen. Now, given that they have included in excess of 21 gigabytes of sample data to support the new tones that are on the Korg Kronos 3, they've upped the SSD inside to 120 gigs. There were some initial reports that this was 62 gig, but it's now been confirmed and all the portals now say 120 gig. So there is a 120 gig SSD. There is a second SSD port in there, so of course you can put another SSD in there to increase your capability. Now, as previously stated, boot time on this keyboard was an issue. It doesn't bother me in the studio, the boot time, but many users, especially stage users, have really complained about lose power, have to reset the keyboard, wait for 3 minutes for it to boot. At NAMM, numerous people were seen in videos switching the Kronos off, switching it back on and timing it. And Korg claimed it was 48 seconds, and so many of the videos were 48, 49, 50 seconds. So pretty much they've nailed the boot time at sub 50 seconds. But a more interesting fact, and I thought this was quite interesting, is the fact that the shutdown no longer seems to cut the power instantly. It performs a proper shutdown routine. That was seen a couple of times on videos from people with the keyboard at NAMM. So not quite sure why that's been done. Maybe there's a bug that Korg knew about, and because they've introduced a new operating system, which is what is going to come with the new Kronos 3 and be backwards compatible with the 2 and the 1 and the X, maybe this has been put in place to solve something that we're not really aware of, but Korg are. And finally, Korg have made a statement, and they've been really quite clear about this statement. The new parts in the Korg Kronos 3 are not, and I repeat, are not backwards compatible with the Korg Kronos 2, 1 or X, which means you're still having to worry about getting parts for your 2, your 1 and your X. But if you upgrade to 3, you're effectively resetting the baseline in terms of spares and supportability. Why was the original Kronos discontinued? Korg never officially said anything about why the Kronos 2 line was discontinued. But what they have said at NAMM, or they've been very clear, or their representatives have been very clear at NAMM, they've said we had to discontinue the Korg Kronos 3 and its derivatives because we couldn't support it. Well, I've already said supportability was a major issue and people were getting jittery about it. But basically what they've now admitted is they were struggling to get the replacement parts, and many musicians have said were struggling to get repairs done to their Kronos 2s and the derivatives thereafter because the parts just did not seem to exist. But this is the first time I've actually seen Korg officially say why they discontinued Kronos 2. They have been very tight-lipped on Kronos 2 up until this point. They've also said that the factory shutdowns as part of the coronavirus. So as we know, most of the Far East just literally shut down for a year and didn't produce any parts, mainly chips, semiconductors, all the other components you need to build electronic goods. They come in the main from the Far East. These factories were shut. And when they restarted, what they did was they restarted producing the modern parts that were in demand, and then went back looking at the back catalogue of what parts they were originally producing and decided whether they were going to discontinue the lines or not. And I suspect Korg also got hit with that. But why reintroduce the Korg Kronos 3? Well, The official reason is that they've now been able to source new parts to build the upgraded Kronos 3. My view, and it hasn't changed, is this is a stopgap and the next workstation from Korg is still to come. Of course, Kronos 3 means new sound banks. In the previous video on the Korg Kronos, I stated that an expanded sound library will be shipped with the new Kronos 3. Korg have gone out of the way to say this on every occasion they could in any NAMM video in which a representative was videoed. To put this in context, the whole of the CC, DD and EE libraries are now fully populated with patches. That means, guys, if you created your own patches and put them into those locations, you might need to do a bit of jiggering and moving around, because this is where the new sound libraries are to be installed, is my understanding. These sound libraries have been created by many top names. They haven't necessarily at the moment released who they are. They've let on a couple of times who they might be, but these are high profile sound designers who have been involved in the creation of the new tones for the Kronos 3. And many who have played them at NAMM have described them, I'm just going to kind of tone this down, as rather good. Here is one of the reasons why we need a new Kronos. All these sound banks that are being released as part of Korg Kronos 3 are going to be available to Korg Kronos users 2.1x for free. You got that for free, gratis, no money, no cost. They will be released for free so that you can load them onto your older machine and get the same sonic capability. So why do we need Korg Kronos 3? Quite simply, we need a Kronos that Korg can support. We need a Kronos that supports Korg musicians. We need a Kronos that grassroots players can buy with confidence that the platform is still alive. We need a new Kronos with the hope that Korg is going to bring something wonderful to the table in the next couple of years or so. And on that note, I'm going to say live long and prosper, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.